Formula 1 season really starts this weekend at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The winter tests give an indication of where teams stand, but on Sunday will be the first points will be distributed, and we will see if Max Verstappen has a chance to defend the title against Lewis Hamilton, and possibly even more. But moving on to the Bahrain circuit, Formula 1 has been coming there since 2004 when it first hosted its race in the Middle East. The race, which in the beginning was held during the day, became an evening race in 2014, and that was something special for the first evening race with the Jordan Desert. And ever since that's happened, the race really has gone up another level. The race was held annually from 2004 until the current season. Only in 2011 did the F1 circus not visit because there were protests in the country. Since then, many have also questioned whether racing should take place there due to the human rights record, but the race was still organised annually. With Lewis Hamilton, the record winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix, will again be at the start of the 2022 season. Hamilton has already won 5 times, one more than Sebastian Vettel and twice more than Fernando Alonso. Hamilton also won the last 3 editions of the GP in Bahrain. There was even a first for Bahrain in 2020, as it was called upon twice for a race. In addition to the Bahrain Grand Prix, there was also a Sakir GP, which was raced at the same venue but on a different circuit layout. For this, the outer track was used. Except for the Sakir GP, every race in Bahrain has been held at Bahrain International Circuit. Construction of the circuit began in 2002, and in 2004 it was completed and put into use for the first time. The circuit was designed by Herman Tilke, who pulled off one of his best creations out of the hat. An alternative for the slightly longer track was used for 1 year in 2010. In fact, the Bahrain International Circuit is everything an F1 needs: long straights to overtake, hard braking zones, but also fast and slow corner sections, especially turn 10 stands out. In 2021, the Bahrain Grand Prix was also the start of the season that gave a clear indication for the season ahead. Hamilton and Verstappen fought for the win in the desert. Verstappen was clearly the fastest in qualifying, but a clever strategy by Mercedes allowed them to get the victory. While it is always difficult to make a prediction based on the winter test, the leading group did come into a clear view. Ferrari is the most consistent team, managing to take a lot of metres from day one, being reliable, being good on the road and setting fast times. The team also seems to have solved problems with porpoising quickly. Red Bull was not stable from day one, but on the final day, Sergio Perez and Verstappen briefly showed what the RB18 was capable of. The car proved fast, but was suddenly cast on the track and didn't seem to bounce earlier. Helmet smile, Marco Spile then said everything about the move within the team. You should never discount Mercedes either. 8 Constructors' Championships in a row speak for themselves, but they did look like they have a difficult winter testing. However, we have heard this before, and Hamilton still managed to set the fastest time on Saturday, so don't be surprised if that happens again this weekend. As far as the weekend forecast is concerned, we should not expect anything crazy. What teams have to take into account is the increasing temperature during the weekend. It will be 21 degrees on Friday, Saturday 24 and Sunday 27, and the wind will decrease during these 3 days. For the first race of the season, Ferrari and Red Bull seem to be calling the shots. Max Verstappen took pole here in 2021, and there is quite a good chance the Dutchman with number 1 on his car can take pole again here. The biggest competition he will get on one lap will be from Charles Leclerc, most likely, who has proven to be a beast in qualifying on multiple occasions. In the race, stakes will be high. Carlos Sainz has proven to perform consistency in a race where Leclerc and Verstappen also have a history of incidents. Perez will be lurking behind them. The Mexican won the special edition of the outdoor Sakir GP back then. Behind them, the men from Mercedes and McLaren will also try to connect with the top. Lewis Hamilton is keen on revenge after a failed campaign in 2021. George Russell drove a Mercedes month before in Bahrain and will want to show the world what he's worth like he did back then. McLaren also had some problems in Bahrain, but the brake problems are solved, and Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris may be able to compete for marvels in Bahrain. All other teams are not expected to compete for victory based on the winter test. AlphaTauri and Williams drove a lot of metres but did not make enough impression to compete at the front, while many technical problems at Aston Martin, Alpine, Alfa Romeo and Haas means they do not come into this one with too much hope, but it will be interesting to see where they all are. It will be interesting to keep an eye, on just all of those teams really. In the UK, all of the sessions are being broadcast on Sky Sports and F1 TV quite a lot around the world, and I'll run through the UK time zones before I go as it's start the new season. Practice 1 and Practice 2 still on a Friday, still 1 hour long, midday till 1 and 3 till 4, and then Practice 3 same time as Practice 1, and qualifying same time as second practice, and then the race will get underway at 3 o'clock on Sunday. F1 is back finally. Conferences now on Friday mornings, and we've got interesting stuff as usual, just kind of what we've heard from testing really. Mercedes saying they're not ready, and all the teams basically saying that. And yeah, obviously Nico Hulkenberg returning in place of Sebastian Vettel. Go well soon, Seb. And yeah, he was saying that he's going to have to absorb a lot of data. Hamilton saying he had a good meeting with the FIA president, talked about a range of things. So yeah, just your usual stuff from the press conferences. And moving on then to the actual on-track action. In practice one, it was Pierre Gasly. He was fastest for AlphaTauri. Obviously, with Bahrain being an evening race and this being in day, not a whole lot you could read into this, especially in practice one, especially first race. Seems to have their stuff turned down. But yeah, Pierre Gasly on the softs, maybe a bit of a glory run, and put him into P1. And yeah, good session for him. But yeah, like I say, you can't really read too much into it. Ferrari's behind on mediums. Yeah, Russell behind, but he was on softs. But moving on then to practice 2, and it was the reigning world champion Max Verstappen who was fastest for Red Bull. And yeah, Red Bull just looked really, really good here. Them and Ferrari just miles ahead of the rest really on qualifying and race simulation. Mercedes miles back, really, really struggling. Russell slightly better in qualifying trim, but in race trim, both of them really struggling, about a second off. So yeah, I definitely don't think Mercedes are sandbagging at all, despite what I may have said in earlier prediction videos. But yeah, it does look tough for Mercedes. Before I go, my predictions for this weekend, and on pole I'm going to say Charles Leclerc. Yeah, we've seen how brilliant he is in qualifying in the past, and if Ferrari really has a car capable of competing for poles, then I can see him grabbing it in the season opener. But for the win, I'm going to go for Max Verstappen. That Red Bull looked mighty on the final day of the Bahrain testing, and I think with the lack of porpoise they're facing could benefit them in the race. So over a course of the race, I'm going to go for Verstappen with Leclerc in P2, and in P3 to make it 3 different teams on the podium, I'm going to go for Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, I don't think Merck will be as bad as they're making out. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below. Try not to link description made for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my channel on screen right now. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.